stories, strange reactions, old connections, and people who clearly know more than they admit, yet they have never enough proof to stand in front of someone and say that he knows exactly what happened to his family. This time, however, the situations feel different. Sehrat's strange clue is still inside Aras' mind, and Aras cannot stop thinking about the letter he was given. The more he studies them, the more one possibility becomes impossible to ignore. Those letters may not be pointing toward a place or an old record, they may be pointing toward a person who has been standing close to Aras for much longer than he understands. That person could be Toyman. Aras may begin the next chapters almost unable to sleep. Everyone around him is trying to continue life normally, but normal life no longer exists for him. He has spent years believing that somewhere in the world there is one person connected to the family he lost. That hopes became the reasons he kept moving forward. It gave meaning to painful days, lonely nights, and every question he could not answer. Now he is close enough to the trust to feel afraid of it. Finding his brothers was always his dream, but Arask never seriously imagined what would happen if the brothers he was searched for turned out to be someone he already knew. Even worse, what if that person was Toyman, the young man who has fought with him, hated him, challenged him, and repeatedly stood on the opposite side of almost every conflict? This possibility could create a completely different kind of struggles inside Aras. He is brave when he has to fight another person's, but this is not a fight that can be won with anger. If Toyman is truly connected to him, every ugly moment between them will suddenly have a new meaning. Every insult, every threat, and every act of jealousy will become part of much more painful story. Aras could look back at all their confrontations and wonders how two people from the same broken family managed to become enemies without knowing how they really were. For the first time, his greatest question may not longer be where is my brothers. Instead, it may become what do I do if I am brothers is Toyman. Aras would not want to accept the idea without evidence. He knows how dangerous hope can be. He has already suffered because people gave him incomplete information or used his desires to find his family against him. For that reason, he may decide that he will not tell anyone what he suspects until he can prove it. This sounds like a safe decision, but keeping the suspicious hidden may immediately create problems with Leila. She already knows that Arask did not come to boredoms for an ordinary reason. She knows his life is connected to something much bigger than their relationships, but she does not know the complete story. When she starts asking him directly about Damar, Arask will have to choose between protecting the investigations and begins honest with the girls he says he loves. Lala questions could become one of the strongest emotional scenes of the next episode. She may tell Arask that she has defended him in front of her family, argued with pupils because of him, and trusted him even when everyone around her said she should walk away. She may not demand it every secret because she wanted to control him. Instead, she may simply want to understand why his face changes every time certain names are mentioned. She could ask why Damar matters so much, why Sehrat's behavior makes him nervous, and why Arak suddenly seems more interested in Toyman's past than his own safety. Aras may initially try to avoid answering. He could tell Leila that he is still trying to understand everything himself. That answers, however, may hurt her more than he expects. Leila has already reached a point where she does not want a relationship built on half trust. She may tell him that loving someone does not mean blindly accepting silence. She can support him, but only if he allows her to know what she is supporting. Eras could then realize that his habit of carrying every problem alone is starting to damage the people closest to him. This would place Eras in a difficult position if he tells Lela that he thinks Toyman could somehow be connected to the brother he lost. She could react with complete shock. Toyman is not a distant stranger to her, he is part of the family structures he has known for years. Even if Lala has questions many things about her home, believing that Toyman might have another identity would shake everything she understands about her childhood. She might ask whether he has proof, but Arask would have to admit that he could has clues. That answers could make Lala even more confused. She wants to trust Arask, yet accusing her family of hiding something so enormous without strong evidence would be dangerous. At the same time, Toyman may begin his own search from the opposite directions. He does not know exactly what Aras knows, but he can feel that people are behaving strangely around him. He is not foolish. Toyman has many weaknesses, and his angers often make him react before thinking, but he noticed when people stop speaking as soon as he enters a room. He noticed when Sebnams give him an answer that sounds prepared. He noticed when Hakan's becomes aggressive over simple questions. Most importantly, he noticed that Aras has started looking at him differently. That new look from Aras could disturb Toyman more than hostility. He understands hatred. He knows how to answer angers with angers. But if Aras looks at him with confusion, sadness, or even sympathy, Toyman may feel uncomfortable. He could immediately ask Aras what his problem is. Aras might say there is no problem, which would make Toyman even more suspicious. Their conversations could begin like another arguments, but underneath their words, something completely new would be developing. Arask would be trying to study Toyman face, searching for anything familiar, while Toyman would be trying to understand why his enemy suddenly appears, unable to hate him in the same simple way. Toyman could then turn his attention towards Semnam. He may ask her directly whether there is something about his childhood he has never told him. Sabnam would almost courteously try to remain calm. She has survived many dangerous situations because she knows how to control her expressions and change the directions of a conversation. She may laugh at Toyman suspicious at first and tell him that Arask has put foolish ideas into his head, but Toyman may notice that she became defensive too quickly. That small reactions could tell him more than any confessions. Instead of stopping, Toyman may ask but about his earliest year. He could ask where he was born, why there are curtains gaps in old family albums, why he remembers very little about part of his childhood, or may some documents connected to his part are difficult to find. Sabnams might become angry and accuse him of being ungrateful. She could remind him of everything the family has given him and ask why he suddenly wants to question people who have protected him all his life, where that emotional pressures may no longer work. Toyman is beginning to understand that begins love and begins told the trust are not always the same thing. This could be a major change for his characters. In earlier conflict, Toyman often acted from pride. He wanted to win because losing felt humiliating, but if starts searching for his own identity, The fight becomes deeply personal. He may no longer care about defeating area. He may simply want to terrified whenever the past comes close to the present. He could even begin to understand Eras is an away he never expected. For the first time, both young men would be asking the same basic questions: who I am really? Darius may be one of the first people to notice that something has changed in Toyman. Their connection has grown through unexpected moments rather than through a simple romantic path. Dennis has seen Stoyman angry, arrogant, jealous, hurt, and super jealousy valuable. She knows when he is pretending not to care. If Toyman suddenly becomes quiet and despairs to search for information, Dennis may follow him or confront him about what is happening. At first, he could push her away, telling her that he is nothing to do with her. But Dennis is unlikely to accept that answers easily. She may tell him that he does not need to explain everything, but he should stop acting if has no one. That sentence could hit Toyman harder than she realized. One of his deepest problems in his belief that affections can disappear without warning. If he now suspects, then even his identity may be built on secret. His trust in everyone around him will become weaker. Stannis may become important because she is outside the central family deceptions. She has her own wounds and complicated feelings, but she has no reasons to hide the trust about Toyman birth of childhood. For that reasons, he may trust her more than the people who raised him. Their relationships could therefore change without needing an immediate romantic confession. A stronger choice for the story could be to let Dennis become the person who stayed beside Toyman while his world started collapsing. She may help him search, challenge his worst decisions, and stop him from turning his pain into violence. Toyman may still make mistakes, but Dennis could remind him that learning an ugly trust does not give him permission to destroy everyone around him. Meanwhile, Hakan may recognize the dangers before anyone else. He has always understood that information is power. As long as Aras only had questions, Hakan could intimidate him, distract him, or use his positions to close door. But if Aras has finally connected the name Tamar to Troyman, the entire balance changes. Hakan may realize that simply threatening Aras is no longer enough. He may need to break the connections between the clue before Aras can prove anything. Hakan could call Sahrat and demand to know exactly what he told Aras. Sahrat may refuse to answer directly. This would make Hakan furious because he is used to controlling situations with money, fear, or authority. Sahrat, however, may have reached the point where protecting the old secret feels more dangerous than revealing it. He could trust Hakan. Then he past has already started coming back, and that he has amount of pressure will bury is again. This conversation could reveal that Sahrat has been carrying guilt for years. Perhaps he was not the person who created the original tragedy, but he may know even to understand how many lives were damaged. He could have remained silent because he was afraid, because he wanted to protect someone, or because he believes telling the truth would create even more pain. Now Arask's arrival has forced him to face the cost of that silence. Every time he looks at Arask, he sees a young man whose entire life was shaped by decisions made by adults. If Toyman is also connected to the lost past, Sehrat may realize that two young lives were separated while powerful peoples continue living as if nothing had happened. Hakan might mom Sehrat that speaking openly will destroy several families, not only his own. He could argue that the trust does not always heal peoples. Sometimes, according to Hakan, the trust only gives suffering a new name. Sehrat may answer that what they created was never peace, it was only silence. This agreement would make the coming confrontations stronger because it would not simply be about good people and bad people. Some characters may gently believe that hiding the trust protecting those grows up, continuing the lies become another of harm. Samnam could take a different approach instead of attacking Aras. Openly she may try to Aras. Openly she may tries to get close to Lala. She understands that Lala is now one of the strongest bridge between Aras and Akaya family of if she cannot control Aras, perhaps she can make Lala about him searching about the family. He could suggest that every romantic promise is part of a larger plan. She may ask Lala why told her the world trust about Damer before now. These manipulations could work for a short time because if touches a real weakness is Aras and Lala relationships. Aras has hidden informations. Aras has he has not always explained his decisions, even when his reasons were understandable. Secretly still created distance between them. Leila may begin asking herself whether Sabnam is completely wrong. She loves Arask, but she also knows that love should not require her to ignore every warning sign. However, Leila has also changed. She is no longer versions of even simply because they speak with confidence. She has seen too many contradictions when one person asks a simple question. Everyone in the house became nervous when Arask gets close to the past. Someone immediately tries to push him away. When Toyman asks questions about himself, the adults become defensive. Lala may begins to realize that even if Arask has not told her everything, her over family has hidden for more. These realizations could lead Lala to search identity. Instead of telling Arask what she is doing, she may begin looking through old photograph documents, boxes, or family records. At first, the might only wants to prove that the suspicious is impossible. Perhaps she believes that if she can find clear evidence of Toyman history, she can end the confusions. But the more she searched, the more unusual details she could find. There may be dates that do not match, missing photographs from curtains, years, paper signs by people she does not recognize, or references to a child whose name was changed. The most powerful version of this storyline would not give Lala the full answers immediately. Instead, she could find one small piece of evidence that makes the official family story impossible to believe. Maybe she discovered an old vault containing a documents with the name Demer Maybe the dates matches the periods Aras keep asking about. Maybe time and current name does not appear when where it should. The discovery would leave Lala standing alone in a room, suddenly afraid of the house in which she grew up. Before she can read everything, Sabnam's may appears. The tension in these scenes would come from silence rather than shouting. Lala could hide the papers and pretending she was looking for someone else. Sabnam may smile, but she would immediately sense that her daughter has found something. She could ask a simple question such as why Lala is searching through old family belongings. Lala might answer that she was curious. Neither woman would believe the others. After Lala leaves, Sabnam may quickly search the room and realize that one document is missing. At that moment, panic could replace her usual control. She might call Hakan and tell him that the situation has become worse. Aras is searching for outside the family. Toyman is searching from outside, and now Lala is also asking questions. The secret is begins attack for three directions at once. Hakan could decide in six persons to remove from the situation. He might try to force him out of boredom, threat the place where Aras live or create a legal problems that makes it difficult from him to continue searching. Yet Aras has already faced enough pressure to recognize these tactics. Instead of frightening him, Hakan's desperation could confirm that he is close to something important. Aras may tell Hakan that every threat only proves there is something worth hiding. Hakan could respond that every threat only proves there is something worth hiding. Hakan could respond that Aras is playing with leaves. He does not understand. Aras may then this his own life was already destroyed by a secret created before he was old enough to protect himself. He has nothing left to lose by asking questions. This would be one of the moments where Aras show how much he has matured. Earlier he might have reacted by starting a physical fight. Now he may understand that Hakan wants him angry because angry makes people easier to control. Hakan could then make the conversations more personal by bringing up Lala. He may tell Aras that if continue digging into the past, Lala will be the person who suffer most. Aras could hesitate because this is exactly what he fears. He never wanted Lala to become part of his family tragedy, but Hakan may make a mistake by speaking too confidently. Aras could ask why discovering the truth about his own brothers should hurt Lala unless the Akayas are directly connected to that trust. Hakan may have no good answer. This silence would become another clue. Aras might leave the confrontations more curtains that even then Toyman is connected to Damar. Yet contently is not proof, so he may return to Saharat. This time he could refuse to accept another mysterious clue. Aras tell him that hints are no longer enough. If Sahrat knows what happens, he needs to say it clearly. Aras could explain that every unfinished answers put answers and other person is in danger. Lala is now involved. Toyman is suspicious. Hakan is making threat. Sabnam is trying to control everyone. This time for riddles has ended. Sarat may still struggles to speak. Years of do not despair in one of conversation. He could tell Arask that certain trust cannot be taken back when they are spoken. Arask might answer, they thread can the years that were taken from him. This could finally break something inside Sahrat. He may begin telling around about a child who disappears from his original life and was raised under another name. He may not immediately say Stoyman's name but could give enough information for Arask to understand that his suspicion is no longer just imagination. Arask could ask whether the child was Stammer. Sarat might not answer, then Arask could ask whether Stammer is Stoyman. Again, Sarat may remain silent, yet his silence could be the answer. Arask might step away in shock, even though he was already considering the possibility. Hearing Sehrat fails Trune, it would make the idea real. His emotions would become difficult to control. Anger would come first. He would ask why anyone had the right to a separate two brothers. He might demanded to know who made the decisions, who changed the child identity, and why nobody came looking for him. He could ask him the question that he lived inside him since childhood, why he has left alone. Sairat may tells him that the story is more complicated than he knows. Aras will probably hate that answers to him. Adults have already used the word complicated when they want to avoid responsibility. A child lost his family, another child may have grown up without knowing his real identity. No explanations can make that simple fact disappear. Still, Sehrat might warm or ask not to the confront Toyman yet if they are wrong. The questions could destroy him if they are right. The trust could be even more dangerous because people connected to the past may do anything to keep control. Arask may agree to wait only long enough to find one final piece of proof. That proof could involve record from the situations where Arask spent part of his childhood or documents connected to the period when his family was broken apart. Earlier attempts to reach records may have failed because files were missing. Demanded move were deliberately hidden, but now Arask knows what names to look for. He is no longer searching blindly for my brothers. He may be searching for them, a specific child connected to a specific period. This change would make the investigations move much faster. Arask might connected someone who remembered the old record, or Sarat could give the name of a person who handled documents years ago. Perhaps an old workers kept copies because they did not trust what was happening. Maybe someone remembered two brothers arriving together but only one remaining under the original family name. Even a small memory could provide the direction Arask needed. Laila may insist on helping him after finding something suspicious in her own house. She would no longer be able to remain outside the investigation. She could meet Arask secretly and show him the documents she found. Arask might immediately recognize the importance of the name Dammer. He may ask whether she found it, and Lela could tell him it was hidden among family papers. This would create another difficult moment between them. Arask might feel guilty because his search has now forced Lela to question her parents. Lela may tell him not to make that decisions for her. She is not helping because she wants to prove her love. She is helping because if her family built its life around our life, she deserves to know. Aras could finally tell her everything he remember he may speak about begins very young people when he lost his family. This the confusions of those early year, this feeling that these brothers was the last persons in the world who belongs to the same past, and the promise he made the himself that he would keep searching. He explained that he did not tell Lala earlier because speaking about the loose make it real again. He feared if he knows everything he would see him differently. Lala could tell him that she already sees him differently, but not in the way he fears. She may know how much pain he hides behind his struggles, strength. He would claim he does not always need to be the person who protects everyone else. This conversation might repair some of the trust damaged by securely, but it will not erase our problems between them. Lala may also tell Rask that if Toyman is truly Demar, they cannot treat him like an object that has finally been found. Toyman has a life, feelings, relationships, and a history of his own. The trust belongs to him too. This idea may stay with Arask and the hide his image. Finding the brothers as if would automatically would be a happy ending, but if he brothers does not remember him, what if Toyman refused to believe him? What if discovering the trust makes Toyman feels that entire life? It makes Aras could has finally understand that finding someone physically is only this part. First part, building a relationships affair after years of separations could be much harder. Toyman meanwhile may become more aggressive in his own investigations because everyone continue refusing to answer him. He could begin searching through Hakan offers or Sabnam's personal file. Unlike Lala, Toyman may not be careful when he believes he has been lied to. Anger will guide him. He may break locks, take documents, or confront employees who know old family information. Dennis might discover what he is doing and warn that if he moves too fast, the pupils hiding the secret will simply destroy the evidence. Toyman could secretively ask if he once became an expert investigator. Janice might answer that she does not need to be an expert to know that shouting at anyone is a bad strategy. Their arguments could bring some lighter anger into a very dark storyline, while also showing how their relationships has changed. Dennis is no longer intimidated by Toyman's temper. She can challenge him directly, and Toyman increasing listens even when he pretends not to. Dennis may purpose that their search quality. She would suggest checking details, photographs, course registrations, medical record, or any official paper connected to Toyman early childhood. Toyman might intentionally refuse because he does not want her involved, but she could remain him that he helped her during moment when he was struggling. Now she has the right to return that sport. At the search, they may find another insecurity. Perhaps Toyman discovers that the document was issued later than he expected. Maybe there is no original birth paper in the family files. Maybe a childhood photograph that Sabnams always claimed was taken at the curtains age clearly does not match the story. She told none of these things alone would prove he was Tamil, but together they would make dential almost impossible. Stoyman emotional reactions could be surprisingly quiet. Instead of immediately exploding, he may sit with the papers and stare at them. Dennis might ask if he is okay, and Toyman could answer that he does not know. That simply answers would show how deeply the situation has affected him. Toyman usually protects himself vigorously. He speaks as if he knows what everyone thinks and what he will do next. But now, the most basic fact of his life, his own identity, may be uncurtained. He could ask Dennis a painful question: if everything about his childhood was a lie, does that mean the people who raised him never truly loved him? Dennis may refuse to give him an easy answer. She could say that people can love someone and still make terrible choices. Love does not automatically make every decision good. Someone may have cared for Toyman deeply while also stealing his right to know where he came from. Both things can be true at the same time. This idea may prepare Toyman for the eventual confrontations with Sapnams. We want to a simple villain because anger is earlier when there is one person to blame, but the reality may be more complicated. Sabnams might genuinely love Toyman and that could make the deceptions more painful rather than less. When Sabnam finally realizes Toyman has been looking through all records, she may lose control. She could demand that Dennis leaves and tell Toyman that he is allowing outsiders to poison his mind. Toyman might calmly place the suspicious papers in front of her and ask for explanations. The calmer he is, the more frightening Sepnums would become because she cannot dismiss the situation and another angry outburst. She may try several different explanations. First, she could say the documents are incomplete. Then he might say all records are often inaccurate. When Toyman keeps asking questions, she would accuse Araf of creating the entire problem. Toyman may immediately notice that he never mentions Aras. This mistake could expose him further. He could ask, why are you talking about Aras when I never said the name? Samnams may freeze. Toyman could then ask whether the past is connected to Aras. Instead of answering, Samnams might tell him that she has always that would be enough to Toyman. This would sound like confirmation that there is another trust she does not want to say. He might respond that he did not ask who raised him, he asked who he was before he becomes Toyman. This would be one of the most important lines in the episode because it separates emotionally family from biological history. Toyman may not yet know whether he wants to leave the family that raised him. He may not even know whether Arask is truly his brother, but he knows he has the right to understand that the life that existed before the name Toyman. Sabnam could become emotional and tells him that some doors should remain closed. Toyman may ask whether that is because opening them will hurt him or because opening them will expose her. Sabnam might slap him or raise her voice, then immediately regret it. Toyman could look at her differently after that moment, now with hatred, but with the painful understanding that she is afraid. He may leave the house before she can stop him. Dennis could follow. At almost the same time, Arask and Leila may be coming closer to the same answers from another direction. These parallel structures would make the episode existence because both sides would be moving toward the trust without knowing what the other has discovered. Arask believes he needs proof before approaching Toyman. Toyman believes everyone is hiding something but does not yet No, Aras may told the answers the two paths could finally cross at Sehrat. Toyman might learn that Aras may have been meeting Sehrat and decide that Sehrat is the missing link. Dennis would warn him not to go there angry, but he may be unable to stop himself. When they arrived, Aras and Ella could already be with Sahra. The sight of all three together would confirm Toyman was suspicious. Everyone knows something about him, expect him. He may demand to know why they are meeting secretly. Aras could tell him to calm down, which would make on things worse. Toyman may accuse Aras of entering his family, taking Lala's side, investigating his parents, and now digging into his childhood. He could ask what else Aras want from him. Aras may answer that this is not about taking anything. Toyman could laugh bitterly and say everything with Aras is always about taking something, or Aras might almost reveal that trust is angered but stop himself because he sees how unstable Toyman already is. The hesitation could look like guilt. Toyman may grab Aras and demand an answer. Dennis and Lala might try to separate them while Sarat watches in fear because he knows these two young men could be brothers fighting only because adults kept him in darkness. At this moment, Sehrat could finally decide that silence has caused enough damage. He may tell everyone to stop. The room could become completely quiet. Sehrat might look first at Araf, then at Toyman. He could say that the story begins many years before either of them understood what was happening, but before he has explained everything, another person could arrive, possibly Hakan. Hakans may have followed Toyman or learned that they were meeting Sahrat. His arrival would immediately change the situation. He could tell Sahrat not to say another word. Toyman might then trust toward Hakan and ask why he is so afraid of a conversation about Toyman's childhood. Hakan will try to take control by ordering Toyman home. Instead, Hakan commands would fail. Toyman is no longer a child who will leave because an adult speaks loudly. He might Hakan's that he will not move until someone explain what Dammer means. The names could shock Hakan. That reactions may be all Toyman needs. He might slowly turn toward Aras. Demar is connected to me, is not he? Aras may remain silent. Toyman could ask again. This time his voice may be quieter. Who his Damar? Aras would be forced to choose. He could continue protecting Toyman from an unconfirmed trust, or he could finally give him the trust Aras has spent years trying to find. Before he speaks, Hakan may interrupt and say that Aras knows nothing. He could call the entire story a fantasy created by a separated boy searching for a family that no longer exists. That cruel statements would immediately provoke Aras, but Laila may stop him from attacking Hakan. She understands that Hakan wants the decisions to become chaotic because choice makes it easier to avoid the trust. Lala could turn toward her father and ask him a direct question. Was Toyman? Hakan may refuse to answer. Lala could then show the old document she found. Sabnams may arrive shortly after. Hakan would see the paper is Lala's hand and realize there is no easy escape left. The family will be standing together with all their hidden relationship expose Arask want to the brothers. Toyman want his identity. Lela wants to know what kind of family she truly belongs to. Dennis wants to protect Toyman from collapsing under the weight of the trust. Sehrat wants to end years of guilt. Hakan and Sebnam wants to prevent the past from destroying the present. This is where the next episode will shift from mystery into emotional conflict. Even if the full trust is not revealed immediately, the characters can no longer return to the way things were. Toyman know now that Demon exists. He know the name create fear. He know Ara's search is somehow connected to him. Every relationships in his life will become uncurtains after the confrontations. Toyman may walk away from everyone. Aras could try to follow him, but Dennis might tell him not to. She may explain that Toyman needs a moment in which nobody asks anything from him. Aras could become frustrated because after years of searching, his brothers may be only a few steps away, yet he still cannot reach him. Dennis may ask whether Aras truly believes Toyman is the person has been looking for. Aras could quietly say yes. This would be the first time he speaks the possibility aloud without hiding behind question. Dennis may be shocked because she understands how much this changed everything. She has known both of them is completely different ways. She has watched the fight, complete, protect others, and sometimes unknowledgeably make similar choices. Looking back, she might start noticing things that once seemed unimportant. Both are stubborn, both hide pains behind angers, both react strongly when someone they care about is threatening. Both hate feeling abandoned. These similarities do not prove blood, but emotionally they could make the possibility believable. Dennis could then tell Arask something important. If Toyman in his brothers, Arask cannot expect him to become the brothers from his childhood overnight. The child Arask remember and the young man standing in front of him are not the same persons anymore. Time changed both of them. Arask may say he understands, but part of him probably does not. He has spent so long dreaming about finding his brothers that he created an image in his mind. Reality could never perfectly match that image. Toyman may go somewhere connected to his childhood memories. Perhaps he visited a beach, an old house, or a place where Sabnam once took him when he was young. He could try to remember something from before the Akaya family. At first, there may be nothing. Then small pieces could appear, not fully memories, but sound or toy. Another child hand and a word someone used to claim him. The call, the name Dammer could begins to feel strategy familiar. This would be more effective than suddenly giving him a perfect memory. Childhood trauma is often fragments, and the story could use a fragment to increase mystery. Toyman may remember being scared. He may remember someone promising they would come back. He may remember a young boy beside him but not clearly see the face. If that happens, Toyman angers toward Aras could immediately become mixed with fears. But if Aras is telling the trust, if the person he spent so much time fighting is actually the only person who remember who he was before everything changed, Toyman may return to Dennis and ask whether she thinks a person can forget an entire part of their life. Dennis could tell him that sometimes people do not truly forget. They simply stop opening the place where those memories are stored because stop it hard too much. Toyman could say that he thinks he remembers a voice. Dennis may ask if the boy was aroused. Toyman could not know this uncertainty would become one of the central emotional forces moving forward. At the same time, Hakan and Shabnam could have their most serious argument, yet Hakan may blame Shabnam for failing to control Toyman. Shabnam could respond that Toyman is not a problem to control, he is her son's. Hakan may coldly remain her that emotional attachment is exactly why they are losing control of the situation. This would expose a possible difference between them. Hakan may view the old secret mainly as a threat to the family powers and reputations, while Shabnam may be terrified of losing Toyman emotionally. She could fear that once he learns up with another family exists before them, he may believe every year earlier they spent together was a lie. Shabnam's maid tells that she gave Toyman a life. Hakan may would answers that Arask will say they stole one. This single difference is language would show why the trust is so dangerous. Neither side sees the past is the same way. Neither may also become important because she is unpredictable while other characters carefully protect information. Nure often act from pain, anger, jealousy, or a desire to survive. If she learns even part of the trust, Hakan and Sepnams could suddenly have another problem. She may use the secret to protect herself or gain pain powerful over them. Perhaps Nure overhears an argument in which the name Damar is mentioned. At first, she may not understand its importance, but after watching Sabnam's reaction, she could realize she has discovered something valuable rather than immediately exposing it. Nure may quietly begin searching for her own information. Her goal would not necessarily be helping Aras. She may simply want something she was used the next time Sabnam threatening her. This could create a dangerous situation because secrets become harder to control as more people learn them. Hakan may believe he only needs to stop Aras, but by now Lala, Toyman, Dennis, Sehrat, and possibly Nure all connected to the mystery. The old strategy of sincerely one person will no longer work. Aras, meanwhile, may find the final document he needs. The clue would leads him to a record showing that Damar was placed somewhere after the family tragedy and later disappears from the system under unusual circumstances. Another name could appear beside the file. It might connected directly to someone associated with the Akayas. Aras would finally have something stronger than suspicious. He may immediately wants to show Toyman, but Lala could ask him think carefully about how he does it. She may say that Toyman deserves the trust, but throwing the documents in front of him without explanations could destroy him. Aras would become emotional and says nobody cares about protecting him when he lost everything. Lala may answer that this is exactly why he should not repeat the same mistake with Toyman. This could stop Aras. The scenes would show the difference between revenge and healing. Aras has every right to be angry, but if his goal is truly to find his brothers rather than punish the people who separated them, he needs to think about Toyman feelings to Arask may decide to meet Toyman alone. Finding him could be difficult because Toyman may not want to see anyone. Eventually, Arask could locate him near the sea. The setting would keep the conversation's privacy and emotional weight for once Nether would arrive intending to fight. Toyman may ask Aras came to tell another lie. Aras could say he came because Toyman deserved to hear the trust before everyone else turns it into a weapon. Toyman might respond that he does not need protections from Aras. Aras could answer maybe now, but I know what I feel like when everyone knows something about your life expect you. That statement may be the first thing Aras says that Toyman fully understands. Aras could then explain his childhood in simple terms. He may tell Toyman that he lost his family when he was very young, but he always believed his brother survived. He spent years searching for him. Every clue eventually brought him to boredom. Toyman could listen without interrupting at first. Then Arask may say the name Demmer. Toyman expressions could change. Arask might explain that Demmer was the brother's name. Toyman could ask why everyone thinks that name has something to do with him. Arask may take out the document instead of immediately saying, "You are my brothers." He could tell Toyman that he has found evidence suggesting Stammer was taken into another life and given another identity. The trail appears to end around the people connected to Toyman's childhood. Toyman might refuse to touch the paper. He could accuse Arask of creating a story because he wants revenge against Akan and Sabnam. Arask, who understands the reactions rather than fighting back, he could replace the paper somewhere beside Toyman. He would say, does not have to believe him today. That claim response made Toyman more emotional than anger. Could he might ask what Arask want from him. Arask could answer nothing. Toyman would believe it. Arask may explain that for years finding his brothers would solve everything. Now he understands that his brothers may already have a different life. He does not want to force Toyman to become anything. He only wants both of them to know that happens. Toyman could ask the question Arask fear most. What I am him. Arask may struggles to speak. They could stay. Then I found you. The silence afterward could carry more emotionalism than a long speech. Toyman may immediately reject the moment because it feels too overwhelming. He could stand up and tells us Aras no tell something has been provoked. Aras may agree. He could tell there is one of the no curtain a DNA test. A Toyman might stare at him. This would introduce a clear password proof, but the test would also create a new battle. Khan may Sabnams may do everything possible to stop it. Toyman may essentially refuse because accepting the test man means accepting that the possibility is real. Arask may decide not to pressure him. Letters Toyman could read the documents alone. Small details may match things he did discover independently for the first time. He may understand that Aras did not invent the mystery. The evidence may be real. The next morning, Toyman could returns to the Kaya house and confronts Sabnams only one final time. He might place the documents in front of her and ask simple questions. Why may name Demmer Sabnams could finally lose the ability to lie. Her eyes may fill with tears. She might still refuse to speak, but Toyman would understand. He stood afterward and tied the room and changed shape around him. Every family celebrations and every argument would suddenly belongs to us. For the first time, he may understand that um, Rask did not invent the mystery. The evidence may be real. The next morning, Toyman could return the Akaya house and confront Sabnam one final time. This he might place the documents in front of her and ask a simple question: was may name Damar Sabnam could finally lose the ability to lie. His eyes may fill with tears. She might still refuses to speak, but Toyman would understand. He could step backward, and if the entire room has changed shape around him, every photograph on the walls, every childhood memory, every family celebrations, and every argument cold suddenly belongs to a life has no longer understands. Lala could arrive and see what is happening. Hakan may comes downstairs and immediately realize the secret has reached its breaking point. Toyman might turn toward Hakan and ask whether he knew. Hakan will try to explain. Toymans may tell him not to. For once, Toymans might not want explanations from the adults who control the story. He may want proof. He could again and go to Eras. Eras may expect another confrontation. Instead, Toyman could stand in front of him and say only one sentence or do the test that could change everything. From that moment. The story would no longer be about Era searching alone. Both young men would be searching together. When if they still do not trust each other while they wait for the result, tension could become every greater. Arask may begin seeing Toyman differently almost immediately. He could notice small habits that remind him childhood through the bold questions whether he is only imagining similarities because he wants the result to be positive. Toyman, on the other hand, may resist every emotional connection. He could tell Arask that taking a test does not make his them family. Arask may agree, but these actions could betray his hope. Dennis and Lila could also find themselves in a strange new situations now until much of the conflict around the young characters has involved love, jealousy, loyalty, and family status. But if Ras and Toyman are brothers, the entire emotional may change. Lala may worry about how Toyman will handle the trust. Dennis may worry that he will push everyone away. The two girls could even have an unexpected conversation. They may not agree on everything, but both care about the young man involved. Lala could say that Arask has dreamed about finding his brothers for most of all his. Dennis could answer that Toyman never had the chance to dream about another family because he did not know anything was missing. This difference will be important. Arask has years to prepare for reunions. Toyman has had no time at all. For Toyman, the trust many feels less like finding something and more like losing everything at once. When the DNA test is taken, Sakan may attempt one final desperate move. He could try to interfere with the samples, pressure the testing centers, or convince Toyman to cancel the process. But Toyman may now understand Hakan's method too well. Any attempt to interfere would only convenience him that the answer is dangerous. Sebnams could take another path. She may privately visit Eras. Eras would be surprised by sees her. She would ask him what he plans to do. What if the test confirms Toyman is Tamer? Arask me he wants the trust. Sabnam could tell him that trust is not a plan. Could Arask take Toyman away? Would he tells him to leave the Kaya family? Would be expect Toyman to hate the woman who raised him. Would he demands that all their years together these pairs Arask may answers that Toyman is not property, nobody gets to take him anywhere. This response could surprise Samnam. Arask might say that if Toyman is the brothers, then Toyman should decide what kind of relationships he wants with everyone. Arask will not repeat the choices adults made when they were children. He will not decide another person's life without asking him. For the first time, Sabna may see that Aras is not trying to steal Toyman from her. That realization could make her guilt even stronger. So she may finally begin telling Aras part of what happens. Perhaps she did not plan the original separations. Maybe event were already in motion when Toyman came into her life. She may have believed she was saving a child from a lost future, but at some point, protecting him becomes protecting himself. As years passed, admitting that trust became harder. Arask might listen but refuses to forgive immediately. Understanding is not forgiveness. He could tell Sabnam's dad she had years of tells Toyman to trust. Every birthday, every important moment, and every time he asked a question was another chance. She chose silence again and again. Sabnams may have no answers. Their conversations would end without peace, but with a new understanding of the conflict. The test result might not arrive until the final minutes of the episode. Everyone could be waiting in separate places. Arask may pretend to the calm with Lala watches him. Toyman might sit with Dennis unable to speak. Hakans could be making secret calls. Sabnams may look through old childhood photographs and cry alone. The Arask phone could ring. The result is ready. He may go to collect it. Toyman could insist on coming. They might eat across from each other's and the involved between them. Nethers want to open it first. Erard could tell Toyman that whatever the paper says, they are still the same people they were yesterday. Toyman might respond that he is not sure who that person was anymore. Eras could understand. Finally, the involved would open. The camera may show Arask reading first. His face changes. Toyman immediately asks what it say, but before Arask can answer, the episode could cut away. This would be an obvious cliffhanger, but Daha 17 could choose something even stronger. Instead of hiding the DNA result for viewers, the series could reveal that Arask and Toyman are indeed brothers and use the real cliffhanger for a deeper secret. For example, the result could confirm the relationships. Aras could straight Toyman with tears in his eyes. Toyman would struggle to breathe. The trust both wanted and fear could finally be real, but then Sehrat might call Aras and tells him there is something else he needs to know. Something about the night the brother was separated. The family secret may be much larger than simply changing Tamar identity. Aras could ask whether what else could possibly remain hidden. Sehrat might answer that Tamar was not taken by accident. Someone chose him. Someone deliberately made sure the brothers would grow up apart, and that persons may still be controlled to the story. This would open the next stage of Daha 17 in a powerful way. Aras would finally achieve the goal that brought him to boredom, but finding his brothers could not end the mystery. Instead, it would reveal the real questions: who separated them, why was Toyman chosen, and what were Hakan, Sapnam, Sehrat, and the other adults truly protecting? For Arax, the Discovery would change the purpose. He would no longer be fighting only for himself. If Toyman is tamer, then Toyman also deserves justice. For Toyman, the change would be even larger. He would have to rebuild his identity without destroying every relationship from his old life. He might feel angry towards Sabnam while still loving her. He might hate Hakan's lies while fearing the loss of the family name that shaped him. He might want to know Arask while still remembering all the reasons they became enemies. The writers could use these situations to give Arask and Toyman one of the strongest brotherhood stories in the series. They should not suddenly become best friends, that they would feel false after everything they have experienced. Their relationships could remain difficult, competitive, and full of argument. The difference would be then. Now every conflict carries another lawyer. Neither can look at the other as a simple enemy anymore. Image Toyman getting into trouble and Aras instinctively protecting him, then becoming angry with himself for caring so quickly. Image Aras taking a dangerous risk and Toyman following him while insisting he is only doing it because he needs answers. These actions could slowly build the relationships before Ethel is ready to use the world. Brothers Dennis could become an important bridge between them because she understands both sides in different ways. She knows Ara's determination and Toyman's fear. She could tell them why they are behaving like school and stop their old rivalry from destroying their chance to understand the trust. Lela could play a similar role, but her conflict would be more complicated because her own family may be responsible for the separation. Supporting her ask may mean standing against the people who raised her. Supporting Toyman may mean helping the discover that this entire identity was manipulated by those same people. This could force Lela to grow beyond the romantic storyline rather than exist only as Aras love interest. She could become an active part of uncovering what the Akaya family did. She may decide that loving her family does not require protecting their crimes of lies. Hakan's position could become increasingly dangerous once Toyman knows that trust may no longer work. Hakans may try to conceive him. They are wants revenge and will eventually destroy everyone Toyman loves. He may attempt to turn the brothers against each other by revealing the worst thing each has done. But these manipulations could eventually fail because Aras and Toyman know each other lost sides already. They begin as enemy. There is very little Hakan can reveal about their anger that the other has not personally experienced. What they do not know is the shared pains underneath it. This is where the emotional hurt of the future story will be found. Both boys were shaped by the same tragedy in completely different ways. Aras grew up without family power, so he learns to survive by depending on himself. Toyman grew up inside a powerful family but may discover that the security around him was built on deceptions. Aras always knew something was missing. Toyman may only now discover that something was missing. One had the trust without protection, the other had protection without the trust. Bringing them together could finally give both characters what they lacked. But therefore they can reach that point, there will likely be anger. Toyman may excuse Aras of destroying his family. Aras may excuse Toyman of refusing to see what was done to them. They may fight again. Then during the fight one of them could say something that forces both to stop. Arask might say, I spent my whole life looking for you. Toyman might answer, and I spent mine not knowing I was lost. This difference would define their relationship. Neither experience is more important. Both were victims of the same secret in different ways. The upcoming part of Daha 17 therefore has the chance to move beyond the simple questions of whether Aras can find his brothers. The more interesting question is what happens after he does. A reunion is not automatically a happy ending. Sometimes finding a lost person begin a new struggles because both peoples have changed. Arask must learn that love cannot replace missing ear. Toyman must learn discovering that another family does not erase every bond he already has. Lela must learn that loyalty is not the same as a silence. Dennis must decide how far she is willing to go to help Toyman. He starts pushing everyone away. Sabna must face the possibility that hiding the trust to keep someone close may be very thing that makes her lose him. Hakan must understand that powerful cannot control a story once too many people know the secret. Sehrat must finally choose whether he wants to protect the past or help the young people harmed by it. And somewhere behind all of them at the still be another person who know exactly why Damer despairs that hidden figures could become the real dangers of the next stage. Perhaps the separation was connected to money, inheritance, revenge, or something one of the families did years earlier. Maybe Toyman was chosen because keeping him close gave someone power over another person's. Perhaps Arask was believed to be dead or impossible to find. Maybe someone discovered years later that Arask had survived, but deliberately prevents the brothers from meeting. If that is true, then Hakan and Sabnams may not even the final villains of the mystery. Then may be one part of a much larger chain. A new folder's characters could appear with information about Aras parents. This person might know the family was target and why one child was separated from the other. Their arrivals could turn the story from family drama into a deeper mystery involving old enemies and buried decisions. Aras could insidiously refuse to trust these persons because he has learned that information always comes with a price. Toyman, desperate for answers, might be more willing to listen. The difference would create the first major conflict between them after learning they are brothers. Aras would want to move carefully. Toyman would want every answer immediately. The situations would reserve their usual roles. Toyman, who once mocked Aras for chasing the past, may become obsessed with his. Aras, who spent years searching, may become the one telling him that some answers must be approached carefully. Dennis might notice that Toyman is losing himself in the investigations. She could remind him that discovering he was Demer does not mean Toyman despairs. Both identities are part of him. He does not have to choose between them immediately. This could lead to a strong sense where Stoyman looks at himself in the mirror and quality says the name Demmer for the first time. The name might feel strange, then familiar, then painful. He could remember Arask saying it. Maybe another small childhood memory appears, a little boy calling for him. A memory could stop before the face became clear. Troyman might close his eyes, trying to face her to lost returns. Nothing happens. He gets angry. Dennis could tell him memories cannot be altered to come back. This would show that the emotional process will take time. Arask may also struggled. He could find an old childhood object he kept for his brothers. Maybe he carried it through different homes and years because it was one of the few physical pieces of his family. Now he has the chance to give it the toyman, but he may hesitate. What if Toyman does not remember it? What if the object means everything to Aras and nothing to him? Eventually, Aras could show it to him. Toyman might stare at it with no reaction. Aras would try to hide his disappointments. Then later, Toyman could return the object and mentions one tiny details about it that Aras could told him that would be stronger than any DNA papers. It would be a memory belongs only to the two brothers. Arask may smile for the first time without fear. Toymans may become emotional and leave for before Arask see. These kind of movement could slowly build the relationships in a way that will enter rather than rush. The romance storylines would also become more interesting because the mystery changes how the characters see themselves. Eras and Lela may become closer because she stayed beside him during the biggest discovery of this life. Yet new problems could appear if Eras learned that Lala's parents had a direct role in separating him from his brothers. He may know Lala is not responsible, but knowing something logically does not always stop emotional pain. He might look at the Akaya house and remember that Toyman grew up there while Arask was alone. Jealousy could appear, not romantic jealousy, but jealousy of a childhood he never had. Arask may feel guilty for these emotions because Toyman did not choose what happens. Lala might struggle to confront him because the comfortable life he sees as stolen from him to says the same life she remembers as normal. This would create a mature conflict between them. Instead of another simple misunderstandings, they will be dealings with trauma that love alone cannot instantly repair. Stoyman and Dennis could face their own challenge. Dennis may become the person Stoyman trusts most during the identity crisis, but Toyman's fear of avoidance could become stronger after discovering the trust. He may push Dennis away before she can leave him. Dennis could become angry and tell him she is tired of him deciding what other people feel. If he wants her gone, he stay because this is what he wants, not because he is afraid she may chooses it later. These confrontations could force Toyman to admit how frightening he really is. He may not be afraid only of losing Sabnams of Hakan. He may fear that once everyone sees Tamar, nobody will want Toyman anymore. Dennis could answer that she knows Toyman before she knows anything about Tamar. She is not waiting for a new identity. She is looking at the same difficult, annoying, wounded person standing in front of her. That kind of dialogues would allow their relationships to grow through emotional honesty rather than only jealousy. Back in the central mystery, the most dangerous moment may come when evidence begin disappears. Someone could break into the place where old documents are stored. A witness may suddenly refuses to speak. Sahrat could receive a threat. The DNA reports could even be challenged. These events would prove that the past is still active. Somebody is not simply ashamed of what happens. Somebody is afraid of what the full trust could expose today. Aras and Toymans may then be forced to work together. This would produce an entertaining shift because their methods are very different. Aras tends to trust insist and direct actions. Toyman relies on family connections, confidence, and sometimes imitations. Combines they could become much more effective than Ethers is alone. They would still argue constantly. Ask me excuse Toyman of trying to buy every answer. Toyman to excuse Aras of believing every dangerous plan is heroic. Dennis and Lella might be becoming tired of listening to them, but beneath the argument respect would slowly grow. Aras could realize Toyman is more intelligent than he gave him credit for. Toyman could realize Aras' courage is not only reckless pride. Each has skills the other needs. This could become one of the most satisfying changes in the series. The member relationships does not disappear, it involves. By the end of this first large movement, the story could reach a point where the identity mystery is almost solved, but the reasons behind it becomes darker. Arask has spent years asking where his brothers went. Toyman has now started asking why his past was hidden. Lella is questioning the family she trusted. Dennis is watching Toyman stand between two identities. Sabnam is beginning to understand that love cannot protect her from consequence. Hakan is watching his control collapse. Sahrat is running out of time to tell the whole trust. At the name Damar is no longer a viewed memory. It has returned to the center of everyone's life. The strongest ending of this stage could happen late at night. Toyman may have alone when he receives an unknown message on his phone. There is no greeting and no explanations, only an old photograph. In the photograph are two small boys. One is clearly Aras. The two looks like Toyman. Toyman's hands begins to shake. Below the photograph is a single message. If you want to know why you were desperate, comes along. Toyman immediately calls the number. It is disconnected. He looks all the photograph at the first time. He recognizes the clothes, the location, or an object in his own hands. A memory hits him. Aras is inside him. They are children. Someone is pulling them apart. Toyman hears himself crying. Then another voice, an adult's voice, a voice he knows. A memory disappears before he can see the persons clearly. Toyman stands frozen. He knows Aras is not lying. He knows Demar excited. And deep inside, he knows Demar was him. But the photograph brings another terrifying trust. Someone else knows. Someone has been watching them get closer to the secret. And that person is finally ready to appear. The next phase of Daha 17 could therefore become much more dangerous than anything Aras expected. When he first came to boredom, finding his brothers may have been only the beginning. The real battles may be discovering. While two children were separated, one benefited from it, and what happens to everyone who tried to stop it. Aras wanted a family. Toyman wanted control over his life. Now both may have to risk everything to understand how their lives were stolen from them before they were old enough to fight back. At this time, they may not be standing on opposite sides, they may finally be standing together. The persons who know why the brothers were separated. In the next part of Daha 17, the mysterious photograph sent to Toyman may completely change the directions of the story. Until this moment, Toyman has been trying to understand whether the name Dammer really belongs to him, but the photographs give him something stronger than our documents or an other person's story. It gives him an image of a forgotten life. He can see Aras standing beside a small boy who looks exactly like him. The clothes, the place, and the expressions on the child's face make it difficult for him to believe that this is another trick. Still, the biggest shock is only the photograph. The message under it tells him that someone knows why the two boys were separated. Toyman immediately understands that this person has probably been watching the family for a long time. They know that Aras has been searching. They know that Toyman has started asking questions. Most importantly, they know that the brothers are now close to discovering the trust. Instead of calling Aras immediately, Toyman decides to follow the instructions and go alone. This decision is dangerous, but Toyman is trying to depending of other people for information about his own life. Toyman looks at the photograph again and again before leaving. He tries to remember the location, but his mind only gives him broken pictures. He remembers sunlight, he remembers a wall, he remembers holding something small in his hand. Then he fears a child crying every time the memory closes. It disappears again. He becomes angry with himself because he wants his mind to work like a recording. But memory does not work that way. Trauma has built many things too deeply. Toyman puts the photograph in his pockets and leaves without telling anyone where he is going. Dennis noticed that something is wrong because Toyman is unusually quiet. Normally, when he is angry, he creates noise around himself. This time, he is completely controlled, and that scares her more. She asks him where he is going, but Toyman tells her to need to handle something alone. Dennis immediately understands that this is connected to his past. She tells him that going alone could be a mistake, but Toyman answers that he has spent his whole life surrounded by people who claim to protect him while hiding the trust. For once, he wants to make his own decisions. Dennis does not argue for long because she knows that push too hard may make Toyman despair completely. However, she also does not trust the unknown persons who sent the message. After Toyman leaves, she contacts Lala. She explained that Toyman receiving something that clearly disturbed him and left without saying where he was going. Lala immediately tells Arask. Arask's first reaction is anger. He cannot understand why Toyman would take such a risk after everything that has happened. Then he remembered that Toyman has only recently discovered that nearly every important adult in his life may have lied to him. Arask realized Toyman probably does not trust anyone enough to share the message. That understanding does not claim him. It makes him more worried. Arask decides to find him, but he does not know where to start. Lala suggests checking whether Toyman took one of the family cars or used his phone to search for a location. Dennis remembers seeing a short address of Toyman's screen before he left. She cannot remember every word, but she remembers the name of an old road outside the busy part of Bottoms. Aras immediately recognized the area. It is enough from the main street to be private, but not so far someone would attract attention by traveling there. He decides to go. Leila wants to come with him, but asks her to stay behind and keep watching Hakan and Sabnam. He believes that if either of them suddenly receives a call or leaves the house, if may receive who is behind the message. Lala does not like being left out, but she understands the plan. She tells Arask not to do anything reckless. Arask promises, although both knows that promises made during dangerous situations did not always survive. Dennis also wants to follow, but Arask tells her that Toymans may be more willing to speak if he does not feel surrounded. Dennis finally agrees, but she warns Arask that if Toyman is hurt because Arask treats his like another personal battles, she will blame him. Arask answers that he is not going there is to fight Toyman for the first time. He is going because he does not want anything to happen to him. Toyman arrives at the address alone. The place is an old building near an abandoned workshop. It does not look like someone a wealthy family would normally visit. There are no cars outside and no light in the window. For a moment, Toyman thinks that the message may have been a trap. He considers leaving, but then he sees another photograph placed under a stone near the entrance. This photograph shows two children again. This time an old woman is standing behind them. Her face is partly turned away, but Toyman feels something what he sees her. He does not remember her clearly, yet she similar. On the back of the photograph there is a sentence telling him to enter. Toyman becomes more cautious. He checks the building before moving forward. Inside, the room are almost empty. There is dust on the floor, broken furniture, and old sleeves. The sentence makes every step sound louder. The Toymans hear a voice from the next room. The voice says the name Demmer. Toyman frees nobody. He called him that name directly before he slowly enters the room and sees an older man sitting beside a table. The man does not look dangerous, but Toyman does not trust appearance anymore. He asks who he is. The man says his name is Kemal and that many years ago he worked for people connected to Toyman real family. Toyman immediately demands to know why he wanted. Until now, Kemal explained that he did not whether Toyman was alive for many years. When he finally learned that the child called Tamer has been raised under another's name, he has to affair to return. Powerful people have already made it clear that anyone who spoke about the brothers would face consequence. The Toyman asks why he should believe any of this. Kemal tells him not to believe him yet. Instead, he places a small metal object on the table. It is an old toy car scratch has reminded by time. The Toyman's moment sees the toy. Another memory hits him. He is a child sitting on the floor. Another boy is trying to take the toy from him. The beginning arguing, the both starts laughing. A woman tells them to stop making noise. The memory disappears quickly, but this time Toyman clearly sees Arak's childhood face. He steps backward, showing, but this is on hand. Shown him Kemal watches quality. Toyman asks where the story came from. Kemal says is belonging to Demer. After the children were separated, the toy was left behind. He kept it because he believed one day somebody might need proof that the past was real. Toyman picked it up with a shaking hand. The toy feels strategy natural in his hand. He remembers pressing one broken wheel as a child without thinking. Toyman trusts the car over and touches the same place. Kemal noticed that reaction. He says that nobody tells about the broken whilst Toyman become angry because the memory makes the trust harder to reject. He accused Kemal of knowing that happenings and staying silent. Kemal accepts the accusation. He says fears made him weak. He spent years telling himself there was nothing he could do but watching Aras search for his brothers and seeing Toyman begins to question his own identity made silence impossible. Toyman demands the whole story. Kemal begins carefully. He explained that Aras and Damar were not separated because of a random accident. Their family became involved in a serious conflict with people who wanted someone from their fathers. Kemal does not immediately explain whether the issue was money, property, or another hidden matter, but he says the boy's father had information that could destroy several powerful peoples. When the family collapsed, everyone believed the two children would remain together. Instead, one child was removed from the record. That child was Damar. According to Kemal, somebody decided it would be safer if Damar disappears into another identity. Toyman asks who made that decision. Kemal hesitates. Toyman loses patience and tells him that he does not come there for another collection of half answers. Kemal finally said that Hakan knew about the plan, but he may not have credited it. This purpose Toyman he expected Hakan to be responsible for everything. Kemal said Hassan was involved later when Damar's identity was changed and the child was brought into a different life. However, another person started the process. Toyman asked name before Kemal can answer. There is a sound outside. Both men immediately become silent. Kemal becomes frightening. He tells Toyman they need to leave. Toyman refuses. He wants the name first. Kemal says if they stay, neither of them may get another chance to leave anything. Toyman realizes the older man is geniusly afraid. They move toward the back of the building, but footsteps enters from the front. Toyman grabs Kemal and pulls him beside a wall. He prepares himself for a fight. The person entering is Aras. Toyman becomes furious. He steps out and asks why Aras following him. Aras explains Damar worried and help him find the area. Toyman says he is specifically named alone because he did not want anyone controlling the conversations. Aras answers that arriving somewhere alone after receiving a secret message is not independence. Sometimes it is simply dangerous. Their old argument style immediately return, but Kemal interrupts them by saying they do not have time. Aras sees the man and asks who he is. Kemal looks at both brothers together for the first time. His expression changes. He says, look more similar than they realize. Toyman immediately tells him not to take like the relationship has already been proven. Aras stays silent because he understands. Toyman fears Kemal then recognizes Aras from childhood and says his name. Aras does not remember him clearly, but Kemal explained that he used to drive for Aras' father and help with work around the family property. Aras becomes suspicious. He asks why he has never appeared during all the years Aras searched for information. Kemal gives him the same answers he gave Toyman fear. Aras does not accept it easily. He says fear may explain silence, but it does not repair but silence caused. Kemal agrees before the conversations can continue. They near another's vehicle outside. This time it is not Dennis or Lela. Kemal immediately knows something is wrong. He tells Aras and Toyman that someone followed one of them. Aras says he came carefully and did not see anyone. Toyman says the message may have been watched from the beginning. Kemal leads them toward a back exit, but two men enter the building from the opposite side. They do not appear to be police or ordinary workers. Their purpose is too obvious. They are looking for Kemal. Aras tells Toyman to get Kemal outside while he slows them down. Toyman refuses. He says he is not leaving Aras there alone. For a second, both men look at each other. It's the first time Toyman chooses to stand beside Aras during real dangers rather than against him. There is no limit to discuss it. A fight begins. Aras is not to defending himself and move quickly. Toyman also knows how to fight, but unlike their previous person's fight, they now begin working together almost naturally. One block and attack while the other move behind the opponent. At one point, Toyman stops a man from hitting Aras from the side. Later, Aras pulls Toyman may before another attacker can grab him. Neither has time to notice how too instinctive these actions feel. Kemal tries to escape through the back door. One of the attackers sees him and follows. Toyman noticed and goes after them. Aras finishes dealing with the second man and follows Toyman outside. By the time they reach the road, Kemal is gone. The attacker is also missing. One only phone is lying near the ground. Toyman becomes furious. He believes they have lost the one person who was finally ready to tell them everything. Aras tells him to stop and thinks if Kemal was taken, the people responsible may contact them. If we escape, he may find another way to reach them. Toyman says waiting has already taken years for them. Aras heard the word them and noticed something important. Toyman is no longer speaking only about himself. He is talking about both brothers. Toyman noticed Aras looking at him and tells him not to make the moment emotional. Aras smiled, dispute the dangers. This old tension is still there, but its means is changing. They search Kemal's phone. Most of the recent information has been deleted. However, there is one unsent message is the draft. It contains only 3 words and a date. The words refers to place called the Blue House. Aras does not know what it means. Toyman has never heard of it. Athers, the date is from their childhood, only a few days before they were separated. Aras believed the Blue House could be where their family stayed before everything happened. Toyman asked whether Aras remember it. Aras closes his eyes and tries. A memory slowly appears. He remembers a building near which water blue windows. He remembers staying outside. He remembers his mother's calling them inside before sunset. Then the memory becomes darker. He remembers adults arguing late at night. Across open his eyes. He says his things, but he has remembered Demers there. Aras say yes. Toyman wants to go immediately. Arask was safe, first needs to know whether someone is waiting for them. Toyman become angry and ask why is he suddenly acting careful after spending years running into dangers. Arask answers that before today the person at risk was mostly himself. Now Toyman is involved. Toyman does not know how to respond to that. He looks away. Meanwhile, back at the Akaya house, Lala is watching Hakan carefully. After Arask leaves, she noticed her father's receive a phone call. Hakan walks into another room and lowers his voice. Lala cannot hear everything, but she catches one purchase. He should never have contacted the boys. The world immediately worried her. She waited until Hakan leaves and quality checked the room. She cannot access the phone, but she noticed that he has taken an old file from a locked cabinet. Shabnam enters unexpectedly and asks Leila what she is doing. Leila answers that she was looking for Hakan. Shabnam does not believe her. The relationships between mothers and daughters has changed badly. Leila once accepts Shabnam's emotional explanations more easily. Now every sentence sounds like another possible attempt to hide something. Shabnam asks Leila whether she has been helping Ara search through family records. Leila does not deny it. She has. She strives for being treated like a child who cannot handle the trust. Shabnam he tells that the trust can destroy pupils. Leila answers that lies are already destroyed everyone. The sentence hurts Shabnam because she knows it is correct. Leila asks directly whether Stoyman was once called Demmer. Shabnam cannot answer. Leila says the silence is enough. She then asks the question that worries her even more. If Toyman is Arask's brothers, who separated them? Shabnam says she was not the person who started it. Leila noticed the wrong immediately. She asks, but you know, Shabnam begins crying, but Leila does not allow emotions to end the conversations. She says she loves her mothers, but love cannot be used as a way to escape every difficult question. Shabnam finally admits that when Toyman first came into their lives, she was told his original family situation was dangerous. She was told that keeping the child under another identity was the safest option. Leila asks who told her this. Shabnam refuses to say. Leila asks if was Hakan. Shabnam again remains silent. Leila realized that even now her mother is protecting someone. This makes her more determined to find the trust herself. Hakan returns to the house and says Leila, leaving the more her immediately understand that something has happened. After Leila leaves, he asks Shabnam what she told her. Shabnam says she only admitted that Toyman was not always called Toyman. Hakan becomes furious. He says one confession always leads to another. Shabnam's family loses patience and tells him the secret is already finished. Toyman knows too much. Aras know how too much. Leila is searching. Sahrat is unstable. And now Kemal has appeared. The name Kemal changes Hakan expression. He asks, she knows. Shabnam says, heard him mentions is an old message connected to the hidden record. Hakan immediately calls someone. These reactions confirm that Kemal is dangerous to him. Sabnam watches her husband carefully and begins to wonder whether Hakan has hidden part of the story from her too. She always believes she understands what happens. Dammer becomes Toyman. Now she suspects that Toyman has no separations happen in the first place. She asks her to stop asking questions for the first time. Sabnams understands how Toyman feels. She has spent years helping Hakan hide the trust from others, but now the realized Hakans may have been hiding the deeper trust from her. This creates a new crack between them. Dennis is waiting for news for and asks when Toyman finally calls her. She answers immediately and asks whether he is safe. Toyman says yes, but his voice different. Dennis asks what happens. Toyman tells her that he met someone who remember him as Demmer. Dennis becomes silent. Toyman has also remembered Arask from childhood. This is the first time Toyman admits that the memories may be real. Dennis asks what he feels. Toyman laughing at the questions because he has no answer. He says she feels angry, confused, and strategy empathy at the same time. He thought learning that trust would make everything clear, but every answer has created another question. Dennis tells him he does not need to solve his entire life in one day. Toyman says everyone keeps telling him to slow down, but none of them lost their name overnight. Dennis understands. She does not argue. Instead, she asks whether he is. Toyman tells her. Dennis says she is coming. This time, Toyman does not tell her to stay away. That small change means a lot. Arask notices it but says nothing. When Dennis arrives, she immediately checks whether Toyman is hurt. He says he is fine. He noticed a small cut on his hand from the fight and become angry, calls that fine. Toyman tells fear, uh, calls here it's nothing. Dennis cleans the wound. Anyway, Aras watches from one moment and realized how much Dennis matters to Toyman. Leila soon arrived too. She tells them about Sabnam's partial confessions. Toyman reacts strongly when he hears that Sabnam admitted he had another name. He asks why she could say it to Leila but still refused to say it's Sabnam's. Leila explained that Sabnam is terrified of losing him. Toyman replies that if she was afraid of losing him, she should have trusted him with his own life. Arask understands this angers better than anyone. He does not defend Sabnams. Instead, he shows Leila Kemal phones and the message about the blue house. Leila says she remembers hearing that name somewhere. Everyone looks at her. She explained that years ago Hakan once received an old property documents with dead titles. At the time she did not understand why it mattered. She remembered Hakan's becoming angry when Sabnams about it. This could be the first direct line between Hakan and the place from childhood. They decide to search family property records. Leila has access to some information because of the Akaya family business network. She discovered that a property once called Malvi Avenue and Old Blue houses changed ownership several times. One company bought it shortly after Aras and Damer disappeared. All died. That company was later connected to one of business partners. Aras became conceived the house contained answers Stoyman wants to go immediately. Danny said that should first understand who currently own it. Leila searched further and discovered the property has been empty for years. However, someone has continuing paying basic fees and keeping legal ownership hidden through different companies. Aras says people do not send money protecting an abandoned house for no reason. They live together. This time the group is different. Aras, Toyman, Leila and Dennis all moving toward the same goal. These are still problems between them, but the old vision hours weaker. During the drive, Toyman sits quietly. Arask noticed him looking at the damaged toy car Camel gave him. Arask asks if he remembers anything else. Toyman says no. Then, after a pause, he admits he remembers frightenings with Arask over the toy. Arask smiles. He says Tamer always wanted feathers. Arask had even when he already had something better. Toyman looks at him and says that sounds like Arask is describing himself. For the first time, both almost laugh together. The moment is short, but Leila and Dennis notice is the brother is immediately returns to serious expressions, as if serious expressions neither wants anyone to see that the relationship is changing. When they reach the blue house, Arask stopped before entering. The building has been repaired several times, but curtains parts are exactly as he remembered. The blue windows are still there. A stone path leads toward the back. The sea can be seen beyond the property. Aras experienced a strong memory. His mother is standing near the doorway. Demer is returning after him. Their father is speaking to another man near a car. Aras tries to see the man's face but cannot. Toyman touched the wall and his own memory. He remembers hiding behind a chair. He remembers hearing his father shouting. He remembers Sabnam's. That memory shocked him. He turns toward Aras. He says things Sabnam was here before he became Toyman. If trust this changes everything. Sabnam did not simply meet Damer after the separation. She may have known the family before it happens. Leila uses to believe it can first. She says her mothers always described Toyman as someone who entered their life letters. Toyman tells her is not completely sure. Aura says they need evidence. Inside the house, they find almost nothing at first. Most rooms have been emptied. However, Aras remember a small storage area under the stairs. The door has been replaced, but the shape of the wall is familiar. They break the lock and enter. Inside are old boxes, most contain useless papers, damaged photographs, and furniture records. Then Lala finds our notebooks. The notebooks belongs to someone who managed the property during the final months before the family disappeared. Many pages have been removed. The remaining entries mention visitors. One repeated initials appears several times HA. Toyman says it could mean Hakan's Akaya. Arask does not want to make assumptions. Then Dennis finds another lies. The entry says HA came against with S. Everyone becomes silent as should easily mean Sabnam. Lala looks sick. She realizes her mothers may have visited the house before the separations. Toyman became angry. He says they need to confront Sabnams immediately. Arask stop him. He says they should continue searching first. Toyman accuses him protecting Lala mothers. Arask says he is protecting the evidence from disappearing. The argument almost becomes serious until Dennis reminds them this is exactly what, however, the trust would want. If the brothers start fighting, the people responsible gain time. Toyman clamped down. They continue begins one box. A fair find a small castle's record when it old, but there is a tape inside. Lala says they may be able to play it use old equipment. Toyman says the should take everything with them. Before leaving, Arask noticed another detail. A child height marked are drawn on wall. The two men appears beside them. Arask Damer. Toyman stared at his forgotten name written on the wall. This affected him more than the documents. A partner has mentored both brothers as they grew. They marked proof that they once had an ordinary family life together. Toyman touched the writing for a few seconds. He does not speak. Arask stands beside him. Neither knows what to say. Their Toyman asks which mark in his. Arask points toward the lower ones and says, Demer was always slightly shorter. Demer was slightly shorter. Toyman replies that Arask should enjoy that memory because he is taller now. Arask love quality. The Homer protect both from becoming too emotional. They leave with the notebook and tape back in town. They find equipment capable of playing the recording. The sound quality is poor. At first there are only voices in the background. They are recognize his father. His father is arguing with someone. The other voice is a man. The father says he will not sign something. The other man tells him he is making a dangerous mistake. Then other voice enters. Sabnam Lala immediately recognizes her mother. The recording becomes difficult to hear, but one sentence is clear. Sabnam says the children cannot stay here if this gets worse. Toyman stops the tape. Everyone is shocked. Lala tries to understand why her mother was involved. Arask becomes angry because the recording proves the Akaya knows his family before the tragedy. Toyman was whether Sabnam was trying to help the children or helping the people threatening their fathers. Nobody knows. They continue listening. The father says both boys will stay with him. The male voice responds that one child may already be in danger. Then the tape cut off. The second half has been damaged. This partial recording creates a completely different possibilities. Maybe Dahmer was separated because somebody truly believes he was in danger. He does not excuse changing his identity if it may explain why some people originally agreed to the plan. Toyman asks why was not protected the same way. Arask has no answer. These questions begins hurting him deeply. It adults believed one child needed protections. Why was Tamer chosen to or not Arask? Was Arask constructs less important? Did somebody believes Arask has already dead, or was there another reason? The raft create a new bond. Lala noticed Arask becoming distant. She takes him inside, admits Arask part of this field, terribles of the thinking this may not cannot stop, vow to stop, save Demmer while he was left alone. Lala tells him they still do not know what happens. Arask says that does not erase it feels. Lala does not tell him to be responsible. She simply says his feelings make sense. Arask admit he is happy. Toyman survived, but he is angry that nobody came back for him. These two emotions exist together. This is important because Arask's pain should not despair but just because he has found his father's brothers. Toyman heard others part of the conversation. Later he approaches Aras alone. He says he does not know why he chooses blaming others. Toyman replies that he knows. Then he says something unexpected. If I could remember enough to explain it, I would ask. I look at him. The sentence showed that Toyman also carries guilt for something he did not choose. Arask tell him neither of them is responsible for what adults did when they were children. Toyman say understanding that and feelings it were two different things. Arask agree. These relationships becomes deeper because they are finally speaking without trying to win. At the Akaya house, Sabnam realizes the blue house may have been discovered. She finds one old key missing the Hakaya cabinet and knows Laila has been searching. She confirms her son and exactly what happens at that house. Hakan refuses to answer. Sabnam tells him she remembers more than he thinks earlier. Easily, he now asks to visit Arask's family because there were threat against the children. She says she believes they were discussing temporary protection, not permanent separation. Sakayan becomes nervous. This reveals that even Sabnams may not know the complete plan. He accuses Hakan of changing the argument after the family tragedy. Hakan tells her that situations become impossible. Sabnam asks whether the decides to keep Dammer. Hakan says Toyman was give us save life. Sabnam replies that he did not answer the question. Their argument becomes serious. Finally, Hakan says the person who made the final decisions was not him. Sabnam demands the name. Hakan says it is better if she never knows. Sabnam laughs bitterly. She says this is exactly the same sentence they used for years to control Toyman. Now Hakan is using it on her. She tells find the trust even if destroy their marriage. Hakan warns her not to become another's enemy. Sabnam says maybe should have thought about that before lying to everyone. This is the beginning of Sabnam changing side. She is not innocent. She helped hide Toyman's identity for years. But now she may decide that protecting the secret is more dangerous than exposing it. And Nure also become more active. She has been listening to part of the family conflict and begin understanding that the name Damar is connected to Toym and Nure does not have the same emotional attachment to the secret to see if his power. She contacts someone from Hakan old businesses circles and asks about the blue house. The man becomes uncomfortable and tells her to forget the subject. Nure becomes even more interested. She may forget thing is expensive. If he wants her silence, he should give the information. Eventually, he learns that the company used to hide ownership of the Blue House was connected to a wealthy businessman named Roof. This is a new name. Roof has not part of the young character's life, but he has closely connected to Hakan years ago. Nure searched deeper and learned that Roof and boredom suddenly after the family tragedy he has recently returned to the Turkey. This may explain why the secret is becoming active now. Perhaps no Aras is alive, perhaps he is no Toyman is remembering. Nure decides not to tell Hakan that she found the name. Instead, she contacts Rauf directly. This could be a huge mistake. Rauf answers calmly. He knows who Nure is. That surprises her. He says people around Hakan could be careful when asking about old stories. Nure says she is not afraid. Roof responds that fear usually arrives after people understand the dangers. Then he ends the call. For the first time, Nure realized she may have entered something bigger than family blackmail